When I ask campus leaders what the next decade has in store for higher ed, I often hear about online learning, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence. But as I've been visiting institutions in Western Canada, I've been hearing another theme loud and clear.
The way that universities move forward to accommodate Indigenous people and Indigenous cultures on their campuses has got to be, if not then one of the major innovations in the academic world in Canada in the coming years.
This week, I visit Manitoba's Brandon University to speak with Interim President and Vice-Chancellor Steve Robinson about what it really means to indigenize the academy. I'm Ken Steele. Welcome to another 10 with Ken. This past April, I traveled to Brandon, Manitoba to present an overview of emerging trends in higher education to the Board of Governors at Brandon University. But I also caught a few moments with Steve Robinson, the interim president, to talk about change and innovation in higher ed. This week, let me share with you some of his observations about Indigenous reconciliation.
And every university is confronted right now in Canada with the question of how it's going to innovate in order to bring Indigenous cultures into the fold on campus, because there are different situations across Canada and different Indigenous communities in every university in Canada. It's going to call for unique innovations at each campus across Canada.
Over the months ahead, we'll speak with plenty of campus leaders about the challenges and opportunities of indigenization. But there are some common themes.
You need to create a context in which everybody feels welcome. And so you need to allow Indigenous peoples to come onto your campus and feel like they're at home here. So you need not only visual symbols of that, you need places that are welcoming and reflect Indigenous culture. You need practices that feel natural to people coming from those cultural backgrounds. And you need institutional processes, governance mechanisms, decision-making that respects and celebrates those different perspectives.
So what does that look like at Brandon?
Brandon University has a long history of Indigenous participation and service to Indigenous communities on our campus, but we're a Western institution nonetheless. The university culture that we occupy right now is a Western-derived culture. It hasn't been fundamentally impacted or shaped by Indigenous peoples, but it needs to be. Certainly getting more Indigenous community members onto campus, more knowledge keepers onto campus, and involved in processes that are currently ordinary and natural here, but need to be transformed. To do that, you need to have them present and you need to have them participating. We're taking steps forward into the reestablishment of an elders program on our campus, which many universities have done. We have an all-nations powwow that follows our convocation every year. It's a big event. It happens over the course of an entire day, the day after convocation. It draws in tremendous participation from the community and from the campus. It's a wonderful celebration and a special welcoming celebration for the communities and for the graduating Indigenous students who come forward to be recognized at that event. It's a really warm and exciting addition to our convocation program every year. We have an Indigenous Peoples Center we have had for a long time, which welcomes Indigenous students and all students into its space to provide support and advice and just a place to be themselves and to feel relaxed and comfortable in their identities. And we have significant interactions with Indigenous organizations in the community, such as, for example, the Brandon Friendship Center. They've launched a campaign to erect symbolic teepees in 16 different locations around the city. And we're going to have one of those go up this spring on our campus. We've made some progress. We've got a long way to go.
The challenge for universities is that European colonial traditions permeate the culture and structure of the academy.
Everybody recognizes this, that universities have a significant role to play in reconciliation. Everybody is also starting to recognize just how much of a challenge that's going to be, because it's going to demand fundamental changes in the way that universities do things. What's called for is not simply more students on campus, though that's called for. It's not simply hiring more Indigenous people, although that's called for. What's really fundamental is that we find new ways to do what we do, that incorporate those perspectives, respect them, and energize them and bring them creatively into the production of success for all students across Canada and researchers across Canada. And so opening up the university's administration, opening up its faculty and its governance structures to the participation of significant participation of Indigenous communities, going off campus to get to know those communities and to find out from them directly what they think they need from the university and then responding respectfully to their expectations. Those are all things that need to be done. So that's a challenge that faces every university campus in Canada. It's a major challenge. It's one that can't be put off any longer, and it demands innovative responses.
Thank you, Steve, for taking some time to talk about this and for bringing me to Brandon University.
Oh, well, it's great having you in Canada. It's wonderful.
We'll come back to this theme of indigenization in future episodes. But next week, my conversation with Steve Robinson continues as we explore 3 ways that campus leaders can provide incentives for innovation. To be sure you don't miss it, take a moment now to subscribe. Thanks for watching. This week, I visit Brandon University. 3 ways that campus leaders can... I traveled to Brandon, Manitoba to prevent... Yeah, that was what I was doing. I traveled to Brandon, now I've thrown myself off.